Today we're going to learn how to evaluate algebraic expressions. And really, if you don't know anything about algebraic expressions, we just did an introduction lesson last video, so go ahead and check that out. That is really going to give you the foundational skills and understanding to better understand this lesson. So our focus is to evaluate algebraic expressions for the given values of the variable. And so we talked about all these keywords in our last lesson. So today we will also review some key vocabulary words, and I'll do a quick mini lesson on what it looks like to evaluate expressions, and we'll do some practice problems and end with some real life word problems. So let's take a look at those vocabulary words. Our first vocabulary term for today is substitute, and you can think of like a substitute teacher. When your teacher's gone, somebody comes in and replaces them, a substitute teacher. And to substitute in mathematics means to substitute the variable or the unknown value with its actual value. And so last lesson, we talked about algebraic expressions, and an algebraic expressions include an unknown variable or value. And so today we're going to evaluate that by plugging them in. So another word you'll often hear for substitute is to plug in. It's to replace the unknown number. And we just mentioned this expression. So an expression is a math phrase with numbers, operations, and variables. And there's no equal sign. So again, if you want to check that out, check out that lesson. There's no equal sign and it has that unknown value. So we are going to be evaluating expressions by plugging in those unknown values. And so to evaluate means to calculate the value of an expression. It's to get the answer. And once we know what the variable is, we can do that using substitution. Okay, we're going to go over a few quick examples and do a little mini lesson on how to evaluate an expression. And our last lesson was on the introduction to algebraic expressions in 6th grade. So if you have not listened to that, it's really going to help you with everything we do today. So check out the link in the description. So there's two things we're going to do to start off. We're going to substitute the variable with the number that's provided. So let's look here at example 1. We have evaluate 3x plus 2 for x equals for x equals 4. So 4, 4, 4. So for x equals 4. So 3x plus 2, and then we know what x is. X is 4. So now we are going to substitute or plug that value in. So instead of writing 3x, we replace the x with 4, and we have 3 times 4. Remember, when they're 3 x's right next to each other, we don't see the operation sign, but it means to multiply. So 3x means 3 times x, and then x is 4. So 3 times 4 plus 2. And then we follow our order of operations, which, remember, please expect mistakes. Determination always succeeds. And so we start with multiplication. 3 times 4 is 12, and then we add 2. 12 plus 2 gives us 14. Okay. Let's try this next example. We're going to evaluate 2a to the second power plus 5, and a stands for 3. So we're going to evaluate the expression, which we're basically going to plug in or substitute a. We're going to replace a with the number 3 and then do the math. So 2 times a to the second power. Again, we see 2a right next to each other. We don't write multiplication symbol, but we know that it means that we're multiplying. So 2 times, and then we have 3 to the second power plus 5. So we do order of operations, and we're going to start with exponents. So remember, 3 to the second power does not mean 3 times 2. It means 3 times 3. You're multiplying the base 2 times. So 3 times 3 is 9. And then our next order of operations is to multiply. So we have 2 times 9 plus 5. So 2 times 9 gives us 18, and then we add 5. 18 plus 5 equals 23. Okay, we are going to evaluate each expression using the given value or values. And so remember, evaluate is we're basically finding the answer. So we're going to start here with number 1. We have 4x plus 3, where x equals 2. Okay, so our unknown value is x. We're saying 4 times a number plus 3, and then now I'm telling you what that number equals. It is 2. So we're going to rewrite the expression 4 times 2 plus 3. And then we simply just follow order of operations. And so we are going to remember, please expect mistakes. Determination always determination always succeeds, and so we are going to multiply before we add. So 4 times 2 gives us 8, and then we have 8 plus 3 equals 11. Okay, let's look at number 2. So basically, with all of these problems, really the 2 steps that you're going to follow is first, you're going to plug in the unknown value back into the original expression, and then 2, you're going to follow order of operations to evaluate. Okay, you're just going to do the math. So here we have number 2, 2 times y, or 2y squared plus 1, where y equals 3. Okay, so remember, when it's right next to each other, that means that we're multiplying. So y equals 3, we're going to plug in or replace this y with the number 3. So 2 times 3 squared plus 1. Okay, and now we follow order of operations. There's no, well, I wrote it in parentheses to show that we're doing multiplication, so we're going to start with exponents. Remember, this is not 3 times 2. This means 3 times 3, which is 9. Okay, and then 2 times 9. Remember, 2y, or 2y squared, the operation that's happening right in the middle here is multiplication. We're multiplying, we just don't write it. You can put a dot there if you want, or parentheses also shows us that we're multiplying. So 2 times 9 gives us 18, and then we still have plus 1. So our answer is 19. Let's look at number 3. Okay, you're going to plug in the unknown value and then follow order of operations. So our unknown value a is 4. Okay, so I'm going to replace a with 4 and rewrite my expression. 10 minus a is the same as 10 minus a is 4. And 10 minus 4 equals 6. Easy peasy. All right, we're going to do 2 more. Let's do number 9 and 12. And remember, I'm working out of the 6th grade complete math workbook. You can visit theblazehaven.com to purchase your own. So on number 9, 12 divided by z plus 3. Okay, so remember, letters are our variables and they're representing an unknown amount, but I'm telling you what it is. Z is 3. So we are going to substitute or replace the variable with its value that we know, which is 3. And I'm trying to switch back to my pen here and it's getting stuck. There we go. Okay, so z is the number 3. So I'm going to rewrite my expression, 12 divided by 3 plus 3. So remember, our steps is 1, you're going to plug in, and then 2, follow order of operations. Okay, so division comes before addition, so we're going to divide. 12 divided by 3 equals 4, and then I write the rest of my expression plus 3. So 4 plus 3 equals 7. Okay, another way you might see this written originally, because remember, all fractions are division problems, you could also see 12 over z plus 3, and that would be the same problem as what we just did. Okay, we're working on number 12, so we have 3m minus 2n, where m equals 4 and n equals 1. So what's different about this problem is we have 2 different variables instead of 1. And you don't need to worry, because we still are going to follow the same steps and it's really not that hard. Okay, our first step is to plug in those unknown values. So I'm going to rewrite the expression. 3 times m, and m is the number 4. Remember, this means we're multiplying. 3 times 4 minus 2 times n. N is the number 1. Okay, and then now we can evaluate the expression using order of operations. So we plugged in n for 1 and we replaced m for the number 4. So order of operations tells us that we are going to multiply before we add or subtract. Okay, and if it helps you to write PEMDAS on each problem, then do it. Okay, you can go through and check off what you need to do. We're going to multiply first. So 3 times 4 gives us 12, minus 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, so remember, we have to multiply before we subtract. We can't do 12 minus 2, although in this case, since we're multiplying by 1, you would have gotten the same answer. 12 minus 2 equals 10, so our answer is 10. Okay, for our first word problem, write an algebraic expression for each description and then evaluate that expression. So back to school budget, you spend $M on each is a keyword here, each marker pack, and you buy 3 packs. Then you buy a notebook for $2. Write and evaluate the expression 3M plus 2 if each pack cost $4. So for this first problem, we're actually giving you the expression here, but let's see how we get that. You spend M dollars. So our unknown amount is we don't know how much money we're spending. So we put M is our variable on each pack of markers, and we buy 3 packs. So each pack, so again, you can think of if I buy 3 packs, okay, it would be M plus M plus M, which repeated addition is the same as multiplication, okay, and I can multiply in whatever order I want. Whoops, not 3M, 3 times M. And so when we write this as an expression, we would just write 3M right next to each other. Okay, we know that that means to multiply. So instead of saying 3 times M, 3M means I'm multiplying. Then I'm going to buy a notebook for $2. So it is a one-time purchase. I'm just getting one notebook for $2. So that would be an additional $2, which means I'm going to add. So now that's how we have the expression 3M plus 2. And then I'm going to tell you what M equals. M, each pack cost $4. So we're going to rewrite the expression now, and I think I'll move over here. We have 4 times M is, it's 3 times 4. Let me erase that. So we have 3 times M, and M is 4. So 3 times M, we're replacing or substituting M for the number 4. We know that means to multiply plus 2. And then I follow order of operations. So 3 times 4 is 12, and then I'm going to add 2. So the total cost is $14. All right, let's try number 3 here, the dinner bill. So number 3, you spend D dollars per person and pay for 4 people. Then you leave a $10 tip. Write an expression for your total cost. So this time, the problem is not going to give you the expression. We're going to have to write it ourselves, and then we'll evaluate if D is 12. So let's write the expression first. So you spend D dollars, we don't know how much, per person, and per is that key word there that's going to highlight that we're using multiplication, okay, and I pay for 4 people. So I would do D times 4, and the commutative property of multiplication means that I can flip-flop my order. I can multiply in whatever order I want. So this is 4 times D, which is the same as 4D. Okay, and then I'm also, in addition to that, going to leave a $10 tip. So that's going to be plus 10. So it's $4 per person plus a one-time flat rate of $10 for the tip. I don't have to do a tip for each person. That's on the total cost of the bill. So our expression is 4D plus 10, and then now I can evaluate it. D equals 12. So each person spent $12. So I'm going to do 4 times 12, which is 48. And then I have 48 plus 10 would give me the total cost of $58. Today we learned how to evaluate expressions, and that was a fun lesson, right? I like to think of it sort of like building a puzzle. When you're evaluating an expression, there's that unknown amount, like that missing puzzle piece, and then once you know what it is and you are able to add it to the puzzle, it's so satisfying and rewarding. And evaluating expressions is kind of the same way. Once you know what that variable equals, you can take that number and plug it in and find your solution. So we went over some vocabulary words, we did some practice problems, and hopefully you're walking away with a great understanding on how to evaluate algebraic expressions. If you did not watch the lesson before this, please make sure to check out that link. That's really going to help you with this lesson and moving forward with more 6th grade work on algebraic expressions. We will see you next time. Thanks for watching.